Alright guys, I think I fixed it. I think we good. So let me just double check real quick. Go to my YouTube. We should be live right now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we live, baby, we live. Alright, so let's get into it. Let me put this in my Telegram chat real quick. Hold on. Alright, so I'm gonna give it a little bit moment for everybody to jump back on because I was running a little late and the stream decided to be a little weird today. But it's all good. Ain't nothing we can't handle, nothing we can't overcome. You feel me? And y'all probably couldn't hear me because I probably wasn't even talking into the mic because there was so much stuff going on that I had to like fix it. Hey, y'all like my hoodie though? Look at it. DTT Jeep, dedicated to the grind. I hope you are too. Hey, I got some new stuff that I got posted on Instagram today. I took some fire pictures. Y'all want to see? Like I was just telling my bootcamp people that that I was walking in the ocean, bro. I was literally walking in the ocean, which was literally crazy. Probably the craziest thing I ever done. But I was walking in the ocean, and it was so dope to me, like crazy. But so let's talk about these charts. Sorry, I keep drinking on the stream, but I just got like I've been talking for the last hour, so I'm kind of parched, but it's all good. So now that the elections are finally over, thank God, we can finally get back to the regular market. We don't got to worry about nothing. I was really like concerned, and that's why I was telling you guys like I really wanted to take in and just learn from the elections because like last time when I started trading was 2020. So I was like, well, I started trading 2019, but like it was only a year into my trading journey. So I wanted to actually like take this election and just like take note of it, learn from everything that I needed to. So, and y'all keep seeing my volume a little low, so I'm gonna turn it up. So hopefully it's not too loud. Y'all let me know if it's too loud, but I don't think it should be too loud now. Hopefully it's not. But hold on. All right, that should be. Hold on. Actually, hold on. Let me see if let me know now if it's too loud. Is it too loud or is it too low? I know it's like a lag. Cause I don't know everything's just trying to go south today. Let me know in the comment section. Really, I don't even know. Hold on. Let me see something real quick. I gotta pull some stuff. I gotta pull my YouTube studio up. Okay, y'all said we good. All right, we good now. All right, so back to what I was saying. The election. So I was pretty much learning like, all right, I want to take note of this thing because I want to just see how the market reacts when like the actual election is going on. So throughout the night, I was just looking at gold, looking at my pairs, and it was just one of those things where I was looking at it and I'm like, all right, a lot of consolidation, a lot of things, but gold did drop 700 pips, bro. And I was just like, damn, like that would have been a bag. But it was just like, all right, good learning experience. So where we were at last Sunday, let's go back to last week. So remember, we was right here last week. So today's the 10th. This was the 3rd last week. So let's go back to the 30-minute time frame just to talk about where we was at last week. So remember, last week we talked about, if you was on the call, you know that I mentioned that, let me move my face out the way. We mentioned that price was sitting like right here, like right in this area. And then I said we had this trend line, this little point A, point B right here. And then it was this little level of support / resistance right here. And I said, I'm looking for sales, but I want to see price pull back. But I know that price could pull back a little bit further to this blue trend line. And then from there, we could see what price does. So that's why we have this note, watch price here. So the green one, remember, that was plan A, the first portion that we was talking about. And then plan B was if we broke beneath these lows, we was going to sell the break and retest and carry it to the negative 27. So you can see both of them played out to the T. First off, the green played out first. And let me make, I don't even know if y'all can see it, but I'm going to make it a little thicker or a little darker, I should say. Just so y'all can see. But this green one played out first. We came and we retested this trend line beautifully. And then we got the drop, right? But the drop wasn't the drop that we initially wanted. The drop was a minor structure drop. And this is why I always tell y'all, take it step by step, because you don't never know like what's about to happen. And you don't know if the market is actually about to go to your designated target right then and there. So if you caught this sell off of this break and retest, this is a quick sell down for 200 pips, easy bag, right? I think this one we call it in the signals chat. We caught this bag. And then from there, what did price do? Price broke this little trend line, retested it, and then pushed up to test this little level of resistance one more time before giving us the drop. But remember, I told y'all I wasn't trading during the elections. So on that Monday, we took trades in the signals chat. But then that Tuesday, on actually election day, I was like, all right, I'm going to just sit out. But then you can see we have all of this like consolidation right here. So at that point, it was just like, all right, like it ain't much movement. But then, of course, once they finally, the race was getting a little bit, I should say, like one-sided when Trump was winning the most, then we started to see these drops. So you see we got this impulse drop. But just like how we have this note here, we had an impulse drop, and we wait on the retest of this level of support, and then we could carry it to negative 27. So we had a beautiful impulse breaker structure, came back to retest this. My students, you already know this green light, like right here, because you already know the entry signal. And then we got this beautiful drop down to here. So also remember, when we talked about last week, when we did our full top-down analysis, I said that on the daily time frame, so if we go back to here, on our daily time frame, we had this level of resistance here. And actually, I'm tripping. Hold on, I gotta open the Zoom for my my one-on-one students, because I forgot when I messed up the Zoom the first time. I forgot to restart it. So give me a second, real quick. I forgot to put that on there because they was we had that mishap. All right, so for my one-on-one students, my bad, y'all. I forgot to actually open the Zoom link, but there that goes. So one-on-one students, just make sure that y'all keep y'all mics muted at all times. That way, y'all not interrupt anything. But all right, so we are live on YouTube for anybody that's just joined on the Zoom. But all right, here we go. So we talked about last week that we had this daily time frame that we had an impulse breaker structure that we needed to get retested before we even look for any buys, because we wasn't really looking to buy in this area because we hadn't broken retested this structure point. So in order for us to continue to go to this upward direction, we would need a break and retest. So the line that I had that we talked about was this little red line right here. This was the first area of interest that we was overall looking for, because this was the daily high that got broken and never got retested. So from there, when we had our drop that we were just mentioning, price continued to flood. Like the negative 27 and negative 61.8 was here, and price literally like melted through all of that, right? So from that particular moment, then it was like, of course, this was a beautiful sell, but like I said, I wasn't trading elections. I literally took Tuesday and Wednesday off, and I'm a firm believer in understanding that sometimes it's good to just have those breaks where like you're not even looking for setups. You just want to like be an observer and just analyze the market for what it actually is, instead of just trying to like, oh, let me just catch a position, so forth and so on. So from there, we had that beautiful drop, and then I was even talking about this on my live session with my one-on-one students. Here, from that drop that we had this descending channel here that formed, that also gave us some divergence. So this was an indication that the market was about to push up, right? But the only thing that I was looking for was I needed to see a break of structure here, an impulse breaker structure, then I'll be waiting on the retest to look for those buys. So currently where we at inside of the market, what do we have? We had this impulse breaker structure, we had this correction, and then we could potentially look for these buys. But of course, before I give y'all my full analyzation, I have to look at the higher time frames, because we have to still pay attention to what our higher time frames are telling us. So on our weekly time frame, we can see that last week we ended with this wick, a lot of wick exhaustion at this level of resistance. That is the indication that we are potentially at a stopping point, but we have to look for confirmations on the lower time frames before we actually get that verification that we're going to continue to go up. Now on our daily time frame, pretty much same thing. We had this small bearish candle. It didn't really do too much. It didn't engulf this, and it's still bearish compared to all these bearish candles. So it's kind of like on a smaller time frame, this just means that we kind of sit in this little range. Now, based off our daily time frame though, we are at this level of resistance here. So this whole little zone, if I was just to draw from this little thing to this wick, we're sitting at that daily zone right there. So that's something to take note of. Now on our 4-hour structure, this is where things get a little interesting inside of gold. So I want you guys to look at this with an open mind, but also understand the possibilities of the things that can happen. That way y'all not just like fixated on one bias, because right now where gold is at, two different things can happen, and I'm gonna give y'all both scenarios, right? So based off of where it just happened, like even on this 4-hour structure, we had this impulse breaker structure here. So I'm going to annotate that way I can draw without the mess on there. So let me find my annotation tool here. So all right, so we had this breaker structure here. So we had an impulse, we had this impulse break. Currently where we at, we came back to retest the previous lows that we broke, and then we started to get a push down on Friday. Now the thing is that this structure is telling us to look for sales to continue to go down, but on our daily time frame is telling us that we are at a level to continue to push up based off of the break and retest. So the scenarios that can both happen is that based off our 4-hour structure, this can give us this impulse breaker structure, correction, and then give us a continuation of drop further before we get our buy, or it can disregard this break and retest, and then it can continue to push up forming higher highs and higher lows all throughout this area. So it's super important that you react to the market and don't try to predict it. Now, based off of our smaller time frames, let me clear this off so I can draw this trend line. On our 1 hour time frame, we have this trend line here that now has formed. We can now get rid of this fib. This fib is now invalid. And then we don't need this fib anymore because this one has played out. And then I'm going to erase or just hide some of this stuff so that it's not a mess on here and it's nice and clean for y'all. All right, so now that we have here on our 1 hour time frame, like I said, we had this breaker structure, so we had this little lower high point get broken. We had an impulse. We now look for this correction, potentially give us continuation. But just based off of experience, I can see, like I said, multiple things happening. But on our minor time frames, minor structure time frame, we had this little breaker structure. So what I can foresee is that this little fib structure here plays out before we get that buy that we talking about. And this is what I would like to see. So of course we have this little zone. We haven't even retested this zone yet, so there's a high probability chance that we don't even buy just yet. But this is how like gold likes to move, and it's just one of those things where like I said, it's an experience based thing where I can see this playing out and hitting this negative 27 and then giving us the buy, or even hit this negative 61.8 then giving us the buy. However, we sitting at a level of support, we've been consolidating. So if you're not already in this, like I was in these sales at the end of last week. So we called these trades in the signal chats as well. This was a trade off of this break and retest here based off of these trend lines here. So break, retest, caught these sales here. If y'all one of my students, you already know what the entry signal was. So based off of this, we can look to potentially continue to go down. I was in these trades and then I closed it because like there was a lot of like wick exhaustion and it was price wasn't really like doing anything. So from here, like I said, I want to see if price is going to continue to hit this negative 27 or this negative 61.8. But since we already at level support, if you still in it from up here, then you could potentially hold it. But if you're not, then it's not a prime area to be looking for these sales first. So the next thing that you could potentially wait on is a break and a retest, but I will only take this if it's worth it. Like the risk to reward is worth it on a smaller time frame. So like let's just say we get some structure and then we get like a lower high form and you could place your stop loss above here and then take this sell down to negative 27, negative 61.8. But really, in my opinion, it's only worth it if you carry it to negative 61.8, because even if you take it like right here, it's going to be, that's only 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. But if you carry it to the negative 61.8, then that's a 2-to-1. So in my opinion, that would be the only way that I would take it. But y'all know me, I only take it when it's clear and you let the market tell you what it wants to do next. So based off of all of this data that we got now, we kind of got to play the waiting game. But for my analysis that, of course, I give y'all every week, like I said, I can foresee it pushing down to that negative 27 at least. So something like this occurring. And then from there, I want to see what it does. So I'm gonna put a note. Really, it's this whole zone right here, but watch price here. And since this is a counter trend trade, that's why I'm not having it. Like I would expect it all the way to go to negative 6.8, but it's a counter trend trade. So we got to be mindful of that. And I don't like that ghost pattern no more. So let me change that to this one right here. Oops. All right, this look a little better. But all right, so yeah, break underneath the support, retest it, then drop. But of course, not that far down. More so like this. And extend this out like such. All right, boom. So that's what I'm looking for. But of course, when I'm looking for the buy, I would need to see really the last lower high point is up here. But once, if we make a new low, I will want to see this happen. Break above the last lower high point, retest, and then we can look to carry it up to this level of resistance and or this trend line, whichever comes first. Now, does everybody understand my step-by-step thought process behind the move, the reasoning behind this whole thought process? And I know YouTube kind of got like a lag, so. So yeah, let me know in the comment sections on YouTube. Okay, perfect. All right, so with that being said, this is gold. Like I said, watch it at this -27. The next area is this -61.8, but do not take this until you get your confirmation. So if y'all one of my students, you already know when it gets to y'all areas, then y'all look for the certain confirmations that we talked about in our last entries call. So we had our entries call last week. If you haven't watched that and you're one of my students in the blueprint, make sure you go watch that video before you look to take any trades this week. That way y'all know like what exactly to actually wait on before anticipating like this move, because you don't want to get in it too early. Like if you try to buy it right now, more than likely you're gonna get stopped out because you haven't gotten full confirmations based off of our entry system. So like I said, I could definitely still see this playing out. And it's even from here to where it's at, that's an extra 100 pips. So if you in the sales still, if you still in the sales from last week that we talked about, then kudos to you, and you probably good to hold that to the -27. But all right, so that's what we have on gold. Now let's go to our NAS 100. So last week we were here, and damn, this played out beautiful. Like, look at this, like a rocket, bro. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, damn. I can't even do nothing but laugh because it's like, bro, why did US 30 and NAS freaking shoot to the moon? Like, damn. But all right, so we was here last week, right? This was where we was at last week. And we talked about price being right here. And I said, oh my God, this, matter of fact, this just rung a light bulb because I was really trying to remember what we talked about. But last week I literally said NAS was the play of the week. And I said NAS looks super good. I wanted to take NAS buys. But remember, I told y'all it was election week. So I wasn't really trying to like take a whole bunch of trades. But on that call, I said NAS looked the best because it had just broke and retested this and looked to carry it up to here. This was where that watch price area was at. Look to carry it up to here. And then if it broke and retested, then we could look to carry it up to like these next areas. But now this played out like this ghost pattern. Look at this ghost pattern and look at price. Like literally played out beautiful. If you took the buy from the last call from that zone, it pushed up 120 points before giving us a little deeper pullback, which is okay, but pushed up 120 points, rejected, then gave us a deeper pullback. But this, of course, is now around the time of the election and stuff. So like I wasn't really like messing with it or whatever. But from there, from the moment of the election, like that same zone that we talked about was like breaking and retesting. It broke and retested again, and then it was like a straight shot up. And that's what this little fib is. Once you're at that point A and point B, this hit negative 27, then broke and retested the highs that it broke again and literally shot up. Like, I gotta adjust my freaking trading view. It shot up so damn high. And this fib is obsolete now, so we don't need this. But damn. Like, let's see, look at the measurement from this. This flew up almost 1,200 points, bro. From that area that we talked about on Sunday. 1,200 points on Nasdaq 100. That's a bag, bro. Like, literally a bag. But all right, so let's look at where we at right now. We ain't gonna focus too much on what happened, but I wanted y'all to understand that the whole thought process behind it. And remember, we were still maintaining this structure, and we were still looking for our overall TPs to get hit. So based off of our overall higher time frame fib, which is this daily here, this negative 61.8 is about to get hit. And let me just make sure it's actually touching here. This negative 61.8 on our daily fib is about to get hit, bro. So what that mean? If we know our negative 61.8, so look, hold on, wait. Before I even ask this question, I'm gonna ask it, but I know it's a delay, so it's gonna be some silence. But I just want I want to see if y'all be paying attention and understand the context of why things are probably about to happen the way they about to happen this week, just based off of the technicals that y'all come to learn since y'all been following me, been on my channel, so forth and so on, right? So what can I really wish that it was a lot of people on my Zoom call, because then people could unmute. But if you on a Zoom call, can you tell me what could we potentially expect and why we could potentially expect a pullback coming soon on Nasdaq 100 for the people that's on my Zoom? And for people on YouTube, y'all could put it in the comment section why y'all think this reversal or pullback is about to occur. So let me see. Y'all saying reversal in the YouTube chat, but why? Why are we looking for a reversal?
Because they're negative 61.8.
Exactly, negative 61.8. That's one of the answers, but another answer that I'm looking for is kind of just like how we talked about on gold. What's another reason why we should be expecting a pullback?
Because we had a high break that need to retest?
Absolutely. That's the exact answer that I'm looking for. We broke these highs here on NAS. We broke these highs, both highs here. We have not gotten a retest on this area. So yeah, y'all saying it in the YouTube chat as well. We had a break, but we have not had a retest. Therefore, we need price to pull back before we even look for price to continue to go up. So since this was so bullish to end the week last week, like we literally broke all these highs, like there was no opportunities in here where you could just like capture a break and retest. Like none of this broke and retest. It was so volatile. So since we about to hit this negative 61.8 TP, there's a very high probability chance that we have a pullback. Now, there's not there's no saying on how deep the pullback is going to be, but just based off of our technicals, we should at least anticipate that price come back to this zone right here. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna come back like today, but in the future, we could look for price to come back. But of course, we got to take it step by step. So before we even grasp that pullback or that sell that we looking for, we need certain things to happen. And what's the first thing that we need to happen based off of my screen right now? What do we need to happen in order to classify that we gonna pull back into this zone right here?
Impulse below that lower high.
Absolutely. Well, higher low, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. So we need an impulse breaker structure past this previous higher low point in order for us to confirm that that pullback is going to come into this previous high that we hear. So this is super important that we actually wait, because let's just say like the average person on this Zoom is like, oh, well, you know, we're at the negative 61.8. Mike said it's going to sell. I'm going to just for the sell. But no, that's not how we do it. Like, we got to actually make sure that we actually have confirmations before we take this trade, right? So before we even look for this reversal, we need to see that price breaks beneath this area, retest this area, then we could look to sell it back down to these highs that we broke. But until then, we cannot just assume that the market is about to pull back just because we had a negative 61.8 and just because we anticipating a sell because the price broke structure and never retested yet. This can still shoot up because it's still super bullish. So you don't want to be that person that's just like, oh, well, I'm anticipating a sell, so let me just press sell, and then get smack, because you didn't wait on your confirmations. So super important that we look for that breaker structure retest, and then we could look to sell it back down. That'll be a good opportunity for the week. And then also somebody in the comments, let me see, Moses, shout out to you, Moses. He said he see divergence for me. So yes, we also have divergence. If you're one of my students, you already know this type of pattern that we're looking for based off of this. So this is our reversal pattern that's forming, but of course we need to see a breaker structure occur before we actually even think about those sales. Until then, it's kind of like wait for more structure to form before y'all just like anticipate any moves inside the market, because this could still easily retest these highs here and then continue to trickle up. Like, even though we had the 61.8, it don't mean as soon as it touched the negative 61.8 sell, because it could still push up higher before then dropping. So it's important that we actually wait to let the market tell us what it's about to do instead of just be like being so antsy. But since the market was so volatile, like I definitely could see some consolidation happening prior to this. So like, let's just say, let's look at previous stuff. Like, let me see if I can find, like, in reality, something like this can occur before dropping. Not saying it's going to happen, but this is just an example of what could occur. Like, this could consolidate all week and then like look like it's about to sell, bounce off the level of support, push up, finally hit that negative 61.8 and then fall. But until then, even if you did get this fall, you will still need this to occur before you actually take the sell. So let me see, something like this. Oops, what the hell did I just do? Something like this. Voila. Ain't that beautiful? It's like art. It's like I'm a fortune teller, but I'm not a fortune teller. I just know what to look for. And once this happens, then of course you would take the trade. But all in all, this is really looking too far into the future, because of course, you know, like this might take a whole week to happen. But I'm just giving y'all the thought process on how to actually think and how to take advantage of these moves. That way, when y'all see it, y'all know like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to wait on. That's what I'm supposed to do, so forth and so on. So I'm gonna just leave this up here for like so we can revisit it next week. But this is what I anticipate to happen. Of course, I'm not saying that it's gonna, what I'm not saying is it's gonna push down, push up, push down, push up, then drop. All I'm saying is that it's is a potential, there's a possibility that we could see some consolidation this week because we had this huge push and we ain't had a pullback. And even when you think about it, a pullback can be a form of consolidation. Like when price gives you that correction, a correction can be a form of consolidation. So it's important that we wait on all our confirmations before we look to take these potential sales. And then of course, if this just decides to impulse and retest this structure, then we could look to carry it up to go higher. So option A and option B, y'all know it don't matter to me. I got bars today. But yeah, so that's what I'm looking for on NAS. Either way, it don't matter because the market gonna be the market, and then you just gotta be the trader and do what you gotta do, and then boom. But all right, so that's what I have on NAS 100. Now US 30, pretty much same thing. Remember last week on US 30, we talked about, and this is why like it's important for y'all to show up every single week onto these calls, because when I talk about certain things, you want to be able to understand, you want to be able to see what I'm talking about in live time. Then when we come back and revisit it on the next call, you can say, okay, I saw his thought process live time, and then once it happened, you could see like the aftermath of it, instead of just like you only hop on once and then you only take one portion of the call from that and then not be able to understand what we was talking about last week. But where we was at last week, remember I said that US 30 wasn't the cleanest because there was still a possibility that we broke beneath these lows, that we could retest these lows and push down to here, but we had to watch price. So the only thing, the ghost pattern that I gave y'all last week was that I was looking for price to potentially bounce off this trend line, come to this purple zone, and watch price here. What did price do? Price literally came to this purple zone, rejected it, and then dropped literally to the line, the exact line that I had. And then what happened? It freaking shot up. Like this one, we thought NAS was a rocket. This was like an astronaut, like one of those space launches. Cause this, like I ain't seen the market shoot up like this, like a vertical line. It's not even like this. I was surprised. I was literally talking to my homie. He was like, bro, look at US 30. And I was just like, damn. Couldn't really do nothing about it, but sheesh. This is beautiful though. When you look at this on a higher time frame, just look at it. Look at it on a daily time frame. Impulse, correction, continuation. We just respected this level of support. And remember how I just deleted that fib, but remember we had this fib on here. And I said, this broke this low here, but it was still in a bullish environment. So it was a possibility that it will be a tested candle and tested structure versus being a reversal. Because this was the last higher low that we had, but we still had to take in mind that it broke with wicks. Like it wasn't even like clean breaks. So we had to take note that it's one of them time when my students, when I talk about that yield sign, like that yellow light, you don't know if this wasn't a clean break, you kind of still got to treat it with caution. And what happened? We had this break, and then we came back to retest this little level of support, but we only made it back to that level of support, which was right here. We only made it there, and then we consolidated for elections, and then boom, elections just shot up like a rocket. So now, based off of where we at, let's go back to the higher time frames. US 30 has reached 44,000. This is the highest it's ever been. This is the first time it ever hit 44,000. Like literally, like when you just go back and look at it, it's like, damn, how do the market keep going up? But that's why it's important to trade based off of what you see and not based off of what you think is about to happen. Because if you just think like, oh, well, there has to be a reversal, there has to be a drop because the market is at an all-time high, nobody's gonna buy it up. Like, bro, you just gotta follow the technical. Like, you gotta follow the structure of the market. The market is gonna tell you what it wants to do. Like, when y'all really think about market structure is literally like, it's like context clues. So the things that's being printed is literally the context clues to tell you what's about to happen next. But you can't just allow your your thoughts of why you think something is about to happen overrule what the market is actually printed. So every time it prints a candle, this is data. So like when I talk about with my students, it's like you telling a story based off what the market is giving you. So every time a candle is printed, that's data. So think about it like this. And let me give y'all an illustration real quick. Hold on, let me find a book. So let's do this real quick. When you think about the market, you got to think about it, like I said, as a book. So when you think about it as a book, if I have this book right here, and I just bought this book, but I ain't opened it yet. When you think about a book, the market is one big book, right? One big book. And when you understand that it's one big book, if the most recent page, the last page here is current price, and the first page here is back when the market opened, or the very farthest you can go on TradingView, this is the start of the price, right? And then as the price went along, it printed more data, which are words and words and words. And then currently where we at right now is 2024, November 10th, 2024, right? So the market is continuing to print data. If I'm on this page right here, this means I'm probably back in 1990 or whatever. You know, you get the gist of it. Right here, probably 2008, 2015, 2016, all the way to 2024, right? Now, I'm at 2024. Let's just say that, let me find me a page with some text. Let's just say this was the elections last week. This is the last page that the market actually printed, right? But going into this week, it has to print more data. So it has to come to a clean page like this that has nothing on it. And it has to print data. So this is the daily candle right here, right here. This is the daily candle. In 20 hours and 58 minutes, that daily candle is going to print. So when that daily candle prints, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to do something like this. When that daily candle prints in 20 hours, it's going to do this. It printed something on that page. And then when you have the data that has printed that on that page, that is the concrete information that you're going to use to determine what's about to happen next. You don't just assume what's about to happen next by saying that, oh, well, you know what? I read this page and I think it's going to happen, but until it's printed, I don't really know. So you have to wait. You wait for the shit to get printed. Then you get the data from the shit that got printed. And then you make a concrete decision based off of the data that's printed. But until the data is printed, you don't know. So we have these negative 61.8s on NAS, US 30 that are touching right now. But until the candles print and the structure prints to tell us what's about to happen next, we don't know. So we have to sit on our hands to actually wait to let the market actually tell us what's about to happen next. Therefore, we can make that decision. But just like I said on NAS, we are anticipating for price to actually reverse and have a pullback, because we have this previous high that broke and we sitting at this negative 61.8. But until we get a break of structure, we can't confirm that it's actually about to pull back to that area. So what do we wait? We wait on a break, then we wait on a retest, then we wait on our entry signals, then we take the trade. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the entry system in the blueprint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But without the entry system and the things that happen, you can't take the trade. And it's like, bro, I see so many people that's just they just enter too early. They have a fear of missing out. They just oh, well, I gotta do this. I'm just enter trade because I'm so scared that I'm gonna miss it. And then what happens? They lose the trade because it's damn, I entered too early. Literally, we was just in a boot camp, and one of the main focus that we talked about today was timing. Understanding timing inside of the market. When you understand timing inside of the market, you have a better opportunity of winning your trades because you're basically on time. But when you're not on time, you're going to lose your money all the time, if that makes sense. So basically what we have on US 30 now, we're at this negative 61.8. Same thing with NAS. We broke these highs, so we got to be mindful that they can come back to retest this little area. But overall, I'm still looking for potential pullbacks. Now, I don't know how far it's going to pull back, but based off of where we at right now, I could at least see it pulling back to the highs, which are something like this. This is the first thing that's about to happen before we do anything else. And then from there, how many points is that? That's 1,500 points. And then, oops, shit, y'all can't even see. 1,500 points right here. And then look, my alert, gold. It just got to my area. That means the sales that we was just talking about played out because, look, the alert went off. You see how we was just talking about that? I mean, shit, I'm telling y'all, when y'all do this, when you let the data tell you what's about to happen, there's a high probability chance you could figure out what's about to happen next. It's really like a puzzle. But this is the first area of interest because this is the zone. Now, if we break and retest beneath the zone, we definitely hit this negative 27, and then we potentially come to this negative 61.8. But I'm still letting more structure form before I look for buys. But of course, we gotta wait for all of that stuff to happen. But that's just a good that's a good example of knowing what's like the possibilities of what's happening next. Like literally, like I see Joseph in the comments, like one of my students, Joseph, he was literally telling me like on Instagram, like I'm in the same gold trade. When I posted the sales on Instagram last week, he was like, I'm in the same sales, and I'm like, yeah, like that's what's up. And then I seen him post it again when he said in the comment section that he was still in the same sales. So that's what's up. He just put the dollar signs in there, so I know he getting to it off of that. So that's what's up. Shout out to him. But it's like one of those things where like when you let the market tell you what's about to happen next, you can then take that information and make a calculated decision, right? So back to US 30. Here we looking for pullback back to the high, and then we need to see what price does from there. But of course, if we break beneath this retest, then we could look for our sales down, and honestly that's what I'm looking for. But the first thing is to pull back into the zone. If we come to this zone and do something like this, we could see another push up. That's still perfectly fine because we still be following market structure, higher highs, higher lows. But we just gotta wait and see. So the first area is to watch price here, see what it does, and then the next one is to watch price here to see if we get that break in the retest to carry that down to those lows there. And then just like NAS, we got divergence here. So we waiting on this to happen. All right, so that's what we have on US 30 for to start the week. And then I'll update y'all in Telegram chat like as the moves play out if I get some free time. Cause I got some stuff. Like I was just telling my boot camp, I ain't even gonna announce it, but like I'm gonna do it for myself first, and then once we get in the flow of things, y'all kind of just see. But I'm super excited for what is to come. But all right, so let's talk about GJ. Now GJ here, we were here last week. Oops, I didn't mean to move that. We were here last week, and then we was talking about how GJ sales look good. We had the breaker structure retest, and we look for carry down to this blue zone first, and then we will look for to see what price does at that area. But we got, as soon as the market opened, we got that nice sale to start the week. So during that Monday, remember I said we was looking for price to pull back to this trend line, then we could look to take them sales. So from that sale, because even if you look at this ghost pattern, if I make it a little thicker, the ghost pattern was to break, retest the trend line. That was the entry signal to carry down. From there though, it dropped 100 pips, but then it kind of consolidated like this little area here. It kind of consolidated between that high where it broke, where it retested it, and then it finally broke out of that consolidation, retested, and pushed higher. So from there, this was a trend line breaking retest of this area here on the higher time frame. So if we look at this on H4, you can see this is a break, retest here, and then now we got this drop. So this is still maintaining this structure and never broke above this previous high point. So I can continue to see, I could potentially see this push down, but based off of the way the candlesticks are forming, where we at, this look like it's forming a bullish variation. If this formed a bullish variation, then I could definitely see this continue to push up, because remember, just like gold, just like all of the other pairs, it's the main trend is like, this is like an uptrend. So we not really like, sales are counter trends. So we not necessarily looking to, like, when you take a counter trend trade, you got to be open to understanding that it can go in the opposite direction. It can go with the main trend. The main trend is bullish right now. So this could still easily continue to push up, even though we had that break of structure. So just like we talked about yield sign, when it break with a wick, it's yield sign. So if this closes the way it does, I could see it pushing up. But if it does not, and it respects this level, this little minor level of resistance slash support here, if this respects, I could see this continue to push down. But if not, then I will look for this to break above, retest, and then the next target is these highs up here. So that's something that I'm paying attention to. But of course, I don't really trade GJ like that, so I don't really be too involved with it. But y'all, I know y'all trade it, so I'm just analyzing it for y'all. But so either the break and retest under here to sell down, and then of course, like when I say sell down, that don't mean you gotta hold it to the zone. Like, that's a stretch. The first stopping points will be this level of support here. That's your first stopping point, and then your next stopping point is the next level of support. So when I say sell it down, it's sell it down to here, see what it does. If it breaks beneath retest, then you sell it down to here. If it breaks beneath a retest, then you sell it down to here. So it's like a 3 bus stop thing. It's not like a just one straight shot. It's not a one way. It's think of like an airplane. It's like you got layovers. So you got layover here, layover here, layover here. And it's like you don't know if it's gonna get to that destination right then and there. So when I say that, I'm gonna just leave these here. But when I say look to sell it down to here, that's just like the overall target for this bias until you get to this major level of resistance slash support, and then break, retest. But of course, that shit gonna take a long time. It's not gonna be like fast. That's gonna be like, we'll be talking about this same move probably next week. But all right, so that's what I have for GJ. And then for GU, remember last week we talked about GU was ugly. I didn't like GU, and I wasn't giving y'all a ghost pattern because it was in consolidation. I didn't like it, and I didn't know where the market was about to go next because it wasn't no clear direction. So you can see literally like none of this shit happened. Like, it pushed up into the zone, never broke above it, and then it pushed all the way back down to literally this trend line again. Remember, we drew this channel on the H4 because we was talking about how this was in a channel. And if I say, like, honestly, I think I might have drew this channel with my students. I don't know if I drew it on this call, but I remember it's on here for a reason because I drew it from one of the calls. But I don't know if we drew the channel on the call, but I did remember talking about it was ugly, that we wasn't, like, there was no clear direction. And then the same thing applies now. Like, it's still consolidating. There's no clear direction on what's about to happen next. So I'm not about to give y'all like a clean, concise bias. The only thing that I can see is that this is at this level of resistance. There's a high probability chance that this could probably push up to this little resistance slash trend line. But I don't like GU right now, and I'm not a fan of it. And yeah, it's just ugly to me. So no bias on GU right now at the moment. I'm just let this. Once this break out this channel, then we can start analyzing GU again. Until then, I'm cool. Cause it's not. It's just ugly right now. And I'm gonna just clean some of this stuff off, just so it's not super ugly. But alright, do anybody got any questions about any of that? I feel like this is a good call. And it's actually 7:15. I told my girlfriend that I'll be done at 7:15, so we go get some food. So I'm on a tight time frame. So the questions gotta be quick.
Hey Mike, I got a quick question.
What's up?
Whenever you found consistent profitability, what were some things that you changed for you to start seeing that progress?
The way I thought about the markets. Like even when I talk about my students, like, and y'all probably even heard me talk about this on my calls, it's like when I started to actually think different, that's when I started to actually become consistent. Because like when you in just the mindset of like, oh, I gotta make a whole bunch of money, I have to do this, I have to do that, like trading has to work for me, I'm ready to quit my job. It's like it puts you in the mindset of like, damn, like I gotta force things in a sense, where it's like when you don't necessarily, like when you develop the mindset of knowing that when you force things, you really like F up, that's when it's like you lose money. So how can you not lose money? You not lose money by protecting it. How do you protect it? You protect it by waiting on your system that you know works. Like whether you got like a strategy, whatever the case may be, you back tested it enough, and then you have the mindset to know like, okay, I can be patient enough to wait on that setup because I know it works. So once I had something concrete that I knew like, all right, this works, then it was just like a mindset of, okay, I'm going to milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it. And I was just telling the bootcamp students this earlier. It's like I got to a point where like, damn, trading is just like boring. Like it's like I gotta find a new I don't even know what to call it, like just something new about trading where I could just do something different. And that's why like even on the Zoom calls, that's why I even brought back Let's Chart Sundays, or starting Let's Chart Sundays, because it's like I gotta help somebody or something, because it shit get repetitive, and it's like, what else am I gonna do? But to answer your question, like I said, it's just the mindset shift. So between reading books, between listening to podcasts, I changed the way that I like listening to music. I like everything that I was doing in the past, I knew like it wasn't really equipped for the stuff that I wanted. Like my students tell you, my goal book, I used to write in my goal book, and like it's like I knew what the life that I wanted, and the stuff that I was doing didn't align with it. So it's like, all right, well, I got to make a decision to actually change the things that I'm doing in my life to actually get the results. Because when I used to think about it, like my mentor, if y'all don't know, my mentor, one of my main mentors was Jessica Lane. And when I would like think, like look how I was living, everyday living, and then I would think like how she would think, and how she was just so disciplined, and how she approached certain things. I'm like, damn, like you really gotta think a certain way to move like that. You can't just do it. Like, so I had to develop certain characteristics that allow me to just like fully lock in and be focused. Like I was just telling this to my students when we was on a live call. I used to have voices in my head, like literal voices. Like I would literally look at a trade and be like I said, I had multiple mentors, but the main one that I would hear in my head was Jessica, and I'd be like, "Will Jessica take this damn trade?" No, or she'll probably yell at me like, "Why are you into the market without it?" So like those things that I developed, it was just like it was a mindset shift. It wasn't nothing like no strategy or nothing like that. It was just a mindset shift. And once you decide to shift your mindset, that's when you actually start to see things change. Because once you start thinking differently, you start acting differently, you start doing differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of my markups every single week they play out beautifully, but I think the dangerous part for me is getting trades right. So I think when I see that consistently I'm getting my trades right, it builds up like my confidence and stuff, and then I'll take shitty trades that'll bring back my account down.
Yep, absolutely. It's like a loop. It's like a cycle where like, and that's why I was just telling the bootcamp students, when you like, even when you do something, when you learn something quick and it's like, oh, this works, you get this like high of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna apply this strategy. You do it for like a week or two, and then your old habits start to creep up, creep up, they creep up, they creep up. And then you go back to doing your old stuff, and then next you know, you losing trade, losing trade, losing trade. And then when you start losing trade, then you're not thinking in the proper mindset, so you start over leveraging, trying to get the money back. You start over trading, and it's just like a doom cycle. So it's just one of those things where like you got to do your best and make it like your due diligence to actually like keep that stuff going. Like keep the, like if I had like a, I should really write a book, but think about it like this. If you had, let's just say like you had to memorize a song for high school or whatever, and you had to memorize a song for high school, and you memorize a song during that semester that you had that class, but then you stop listening to the song. And it's like after so long goes by, you don't remember the song as vividly as you did before. So what do you have to do to remember the song? You got to keep listening to the song over and over and over again. And then you would, that way you will remember the song. So same thing in the market. It's like the things that you want to continue to, like the things that you do good, or the things that are causing you to do good things, you got to repeat those things over and over and over again. Like over and over. So you got to continue to backtest over and over and over again. You got to continue to feed your brain with good information over and over and over again. You got to continue to like you got to feed yourself over and over again, like to the point where it's like everything that you take in is good stuff versus just trying to like feel like get some stuff in and only use it for a little bit. Like everything that you learn has to be like, it just gotta be wash, rinse, and repeat over and over and over again. So like everything that you take in that's helpful to you, you gotta continue to keep that at the forefront of your brain. You can't let the good stuff move to the back of the brain, because when that stuff moves to the back of the brain, that allows the old habits, the old ways of thinking to creep back into the front. And then now you thinking in a space of lack or a space of doubt or a space of fear, instead of keeping that confidence, keeping that way of being successful at the forefront. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Perfect. All right, y'all can see y'all see that TP3 on that alert. This was the signal from last week, and it hit TP3. It's 272 pips. Like, let's look at it real quick. So yeah, we just broke past that zone. We about damn near tapped that negative 27 TP. So this analysis is crazy. Oh, y'all can't see, my fault. This analysis that we were just talking about on the call literally played out while we was on the call. We only been on here for an hour, so I guess I gotta update. I gotta update Telegram chat with some new stuff, because the move that we talked about on the call literally just played out. But nothing wrong with that. So, all right. With that being said, I hope this call was helpful. Literally, I feel like this was a great call. So make sure y'all go back and rewatch this, and everything that we talked about today. Just make sure, like I was just mentioning, keep it at the forefront and continue to just haul in and continue to do the things that you need to do to remain successful. So with that being said, I will see you all again next week, same time, same place. And y'all have a good rest of y'all week. Make sure y'all apply everything that we talked about inside the markets.